out how to manage the Healthy Hungry Kids Act and also make a profit to a point where maybe we can do some more remodels. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Jenna to give you some information.
Thank you. As Dr. Clemens said, my name is Jenna, and I want to tell you a little bit about our department, and then I'll launch into what Dr. Clemens was saying. First of all, the snack is actually local watermelon. It's from Rich Hill, Missouri, and Bates County Produce. And the orange is Orange Crisp, the yellow is called Solid Gold, and the red is called Captivation Red. So you'll enjoy that. And I have one question for you as we get started. Does anybody know where our ADP stands? So the number of students that we serve in the state versus every other school district? Like top 25, top 10, top 5? Okay. So I'm going to answer that for you during the presentation, as well as how much money we were able to make last year and how we're planning on spending it. And Dr. Clemens alluded to that as well. So our mission is to feed students delicious, nutritious, affordable meals so they can focus on academic achievement and prepare for a successful future. And how we do that is through excellent food, excellent customer service, and excellent sanitation. And one of the programs that we offer is school breakfast, and over 20 studies show that kids who eat breakfast at school have higher test scores, have higher grades in class, and have better attendance. And those are all goals that we share with the academic side of the school district. So, a little bit more about our department. Y'all know I'm the director. Amy is my assistant director. She does a lot of our interviewing as well as our staff development. Tim, who you all know because he's fed you for many years, he is also a supervisor for us. We actually had enough money last year to hire a new catering manager, so you might have seen her tonight. Her name is Ruth Dedeos. So Tim's going to oversee her, and then he also oversees a lot of our small and large equipment specs and purchases. And then Tiffany is our nutritionist. She makes our menus. She works with students who have food allergies. She also applies for grants, and she also teaches nutrition education. And then Bobby Davis is a brand new supervisor, and we have tons and tons of rules and regulations from federal level, state level, to local level, so she's gonna have to learn all of those. She's gonna have to learn all of those before we can specialize her tasks. So, why we're here, like Dr. Clemens says,
I was told the audience may be interested in some,
thank
so help
you.
yourself.
I appreciate that.
I don't know exactly what to do, but I should know it.
So we have a long history of being financially self-sustaining. So basically in food service, we have to make every single dollar that we plan on spending. And we've been able to do that for a long time. You can see the graph. And we can only put a small amount in our bank account, which is a fund balance. And a small amount is limited to 3 months of our operating expense. So that tends to be between $2 and $3 million, depending on how we did. So when we have a full fund balance, and when we have an excellent operating year, we get to do fun things like Dr. Clemens said. We get to remodel schools. Got to remodel Antioch, Maple Park, and Northgate cafeterias. And then most recently, I think you all saw pictures of Oak Park. We remodeled that, and then we did a small remodel inside Gashley's kitchen. So we were flying along, everything was great, and then, like Dr. Clemens said, we hit the Healthy Hungry Kids Act. And all of a sudden, we actually lost money for the first time in years and years. That's a really scary position to be in. And if we would have stayed on course, we would have lost twice that the following year, and we would have lost $1 million last year. And the reasons for that are our food costs skyrocketed. Our food costs went up 15%, and the consumer price index only rose 2.5%. That's a huge difference. And our participation, unfortunately, fell as well. And it fell across the state as well as the United States too, so we weren't alone in that. There were some other contributing factors. Falcon Hour, we lost a decent amount of money when that was implemented. And because we had made money for so long, some warehouse salaries were added to our budget. But those are all small items compared to the Healthy Hungry Kids Act. That was the main thing that impacted us. So, I sat down, came up with a big plan, went over it with Dr. Clemens, and then got my staff on board. And I want to go over just a few of the things that we did. We did a lot of staff development. We told our staff what was going on, that we were losing money and that we needed their help. We told them in our back to school workshop that our plan was to get back in black, and that's what we ran with all last year, was back in black. We talked to our managers at our managers meetings, and we also did on-site visits with our supervisors, reinforcing what we had asked them to do. What we asked them to do was decrease food waste. And how they did that was through accurate forecasting and production records, batch cooking, following recipes, things like that. Then the other thing we did in our office was I identified produce as a 62% increase in cost, fresh produce specifically. So we switched over to some of our commodity produce, so things that we get free from the government, so that decreased some of our expense. I also identified the top 5 most expensive entrees that we were purchasing. We didn't bid them out again. We instead made entrees from our commodity products, some taquitos and burritos, some fun things. I also identified some participation drivers, and while Congress was fighting about whether they were going to repeal the act or they were going to give us a waiver, I kind of pumped the brakes a little and let those slip for 1 year. We increased the variety and availability of our a la carte offerings because they also put new guidelines on our a la carte offerings. A lot of them didn't meet the new guidelines, and that wasn't because they were unhealthy. It was because they were like 20 milligrams off of sodium, so they'd be completely taken off the menu. So we really had to scramble there. We also simplified some of the packaging of our entrees. So the plan continued. I really pushed our business partners for more revenue. We work with harvesters, we provide them with meals, and I actually did a shelf-stable bid for them. And even though I didn't win the bid, they knew that I wanted more business, and we had maxed out their trucks. So when KCMO Parks and Rec said, hey, who's your vendor? They said North Kansas City has great customer service, and it's best to go with them. So now they're one of our customers. I'm also working with Northwestern Missouri State at the Northland Innovation Center to provide a coffee kiosk, which should help revenue for a la carte and catering as well. And just in improving our relationships with our vendors last year, I was able to get us $41,000 in free food. Never turn away free food, right? A couple other things we did. We ran as short as we could on labor. We got rid of some of our short hour positions through attrition. We got a new computer software, which is really exciting. Probably sounds boring to everybody else, but our old one was really expensive and really cumbersome, took a lot of man hours. So we bid out our software. We got a less expensive software that actually takes way less hours to use. So double savings on that. We redistributed some of our small equipment. Some of the schools had been hoarding it, so instead of buying new, we mixed it all up. And we put off large equipment purchases for as long as possible. We also did student focus groups at both Winnetonka and Staley, and we decreased our travel as much as possible. So our plan was successful, and instead of losing $1 million, our department was able to change and meet the needs of the department, and we actually made around $650,000 last year. And what we plan on doing with that is remodeling Winnetonka's cafeteria. And sorry, the pictures are a little small. Up at the top is Winnetonka. It's just a little outdated and not a whole lot of branding and school pride in there. And as you can see on the bottom, that's Oak Park, and we remodeled that a few years ago. You can kind of see at the back, there's the Northman logo, and there's, you know, a woodsy theme, and you've got the Oak Park colors in there. So that's what we're hoping to do with Winnetonka's cafe and scramble area. So now that we're making money again, we can put it right back into the schools. So a couple things that we're doing to continue our success, and this is just a fun fact. We served 3.4 million meals on a $10 million budget with 250 food service staff, garnering us the #1 ADP in the state of Missouri. Our district feeds more students than any other district. Pretty cool. We also buy local produce when that's possible. We also have local business partners when that's possible. And if you guys can see Western Steakhouse, we actually just started carrying one of their products this year. They're a family in our district who has students in our schools right now, so can't get more local than that. We're also only the second district in the whole entire metro, not just the Missouri side, to be able to abolish the alternate meal when students have meal charges. Instead of serving them some sort of cheese sandwich or something like that, we got rid of that. And we didn't have to go to a collections agency either. I worked with Dr. Clemens and Paul Carroll, and we actually paid off student charges for last year. And at the end of this year, principals are going to pay charges out of their activities fund, which garners more building support for the free and reduced process, which means I get to feed more kids for free. I get more reimbursement from the government, and the district gets more reimbursement from the government as our free and reduced numbers climb. A couple other things we're working on. We have a new website, which improves marketing and promotion of our program. We have some new financial reports that we're starting this year that help our managers drill down even further into their expenses. And we have a new employee handbook as well as a new food service employee orientation, and that's to continue with professional development for our staff. So I answered some questions, including where we are as ADP, #1, and how much money we made last year. We were able to make $650,000, and where we plan on spending it. remodel you want to talk at. You guys have any questions?
Question. Sure, Dr.
First of all, congratulations. Well done, very well done.
Thank you.
We're almost as happy as Paul to hear black ink instead of red ink. But one of the things some of us have heard is that kids hate the new meals, and therefore there's a lot more waste. How much of that is real? How much of that is something you're addressing? Where are we in that whole process of what happened with the new guidelines, that its execution in the district?
There are a few reasons for increased waste. Before the guidelines came out, our average servings for produce for students was about 3 servings. So kids would come through with 3 servings of fruit or vegetable on the trays. So we were doing really well. And there are only a handful of students who really don't want a fruit or a vegetable, but the new guidelines force them to take it anyway. So there's a little bit of increased waste there. There's some other things with whole grain that once they went through the whole grain process, USDA didn't give us enough time. They didn't give the manufacturers enough time to really make good products. I think there was like a 2 or 3 month turnaround between when they said the guidelines were implemented and when we started feeding kids. So some of those whole grain products just aren't as well accepted by the students. And I think the industry 2 years later is just now starting to catch up and give us better products. So across the nation, yes, waste has been up and participation has been down, which, you know, I want to feed kids. All my staff want to feed kids. So we've been working, I met a congressman this summer and talked to him. Been working on the political front too to get our voices heard. So Congress knows what's going on and what's best for students.
I just want to say, and also thank you for the presentation and for not, accepting the status quo. Seeing what you could do, going above and beyond, and that's really appreciated, commendable. I'm curious. I guess one thing that kind of stuck out to me, and it's related to Dr. Ward's question, was about you did the student surveys, kind of trying to get feedback, and then you also mentioned the of course, fresh produce was a large part of your cost there, however you are going local. So I'm just wondering if there was something particular in their feedback about fresh produce versus the non, and if there's a way to get that at a lower cost, or.
I honestly haven't heard a lot of feedback about the fresh produce. They take it, so we know it's popular, but when they talk to us, they usually want to talk to us about popular entrees and entrees they don't like. We do the local produce. It's actually a little bit more expensive. Every time I go to a farm to school summit, they say it's less expensive and great for the environment and helps local businesses. And I've been in food service for almost 10 years and it's never been less expensive. And USDA actually gives us, when we do our bids, we can give a % discount on a bid that's higher because it's local, so it can bump that next lowest price down.
Any other comments or questions?
I would also like to echo what my colleagues and the excellent work you've done and going above and beyond. My question for you is, do we have any sort of data on knowing how much of the produce actually gets in the child versus in the trash?
I've only seen one study out since all of this. There are a ton of studies on how much waste has increased, but there's only one study out right now that says how much extra produce students are eating, and that study is contradictory with other studies. So I would say not right now.
Is that something that you could do in a pilot in one of our facilities, or?
We could look at that, but we had our students really took a lot of produce before the Health and Hunger Free Kids Act. I mean, we had such a huge participation. I mean, they were taking like 3 servings a student before the Health and Hunger Free Kids Act. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we could absolutely look at it.
I mean, just one facility would take for that.
Dixie, can you just talk a little bit louder so we can record what your question was?
My question was how much of the produce is actually getting in the child versus in the trash?
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much. We appreciate your presentation and great work in your turnaround.
Thank you. Thank you all.